Hare Rama. Yom Vishnu Pad Paramamsa Parivajagacharya Stotra Tata Shishma Divine is a Bhaja Vinda Bhakti Siddhanta Satinga Prabhupada Ki Nandapati Vaishnava Vinda Sama Veda Bhakti Lord Premanande all glories of the Son glories of the Son all glories of the Son Shishi Guru and Gauranga Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Narayanam the unlimited mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who's given us this wonderful home. This is our real home, to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So very grateful for the opportunity to discuss something on Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. It contains the essence of everything that is to be known. When Srila Vyasadeva had compiled the Vedas and the Puranas and the Upanishads and all the different Vedic literatures, he was not fulfilled until he spoke directly about the Supreme Lord in devotional service. So this is considered the essence of all, and so we're very fortunate. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who has presented us this Srimad Bhagavatam and this process of reciting every day this most glorious Purana. So, I've been asked to speak today on Canto 3, Chapter 21, text number 54. This is the conversation between Manu and Kardama. That's the title of the chapter. Actually, we're reading verses 52 to 54. So it's 3 verses. Just recite, maybe we'll recite the first verse in repetition and then we'll recite the rest, if that's okay. Nayadada tamashtaya Jaitra maninganarpita Vishpurchak chandakondando Pratena trasayanagan. So I'll just recite the next verses. Sasainya charanakshunam vepayam mandalam bhuva vikarshan raitam senam paryatasya amshumaniva tadaiva setava sarve varnashrama nirbandhana bhagavad achita rajan vidherena vatadasati. Anybody has to tell us or repeat? amshumaniva.
Tadaiva setava sarve.
Tadaiva sitava sarve.
Varnashrama nibandhana.
Varnashrama nirbandhana.
Bhagavat rachita rajan.
Bhagavat rachita rajan.
Vidyer mata dasdayasubhya.
Vidyeran matadasyubhi. Na. Not. Yada. When. Ratham. The chariot. Ashtaya. Having mounted. Jaitram. Victorious. Money. Of jewels. Gana. With clusters. Arpitam. Bidak. Vishpurjat. Twanging. Chanda. A fearful sound just to punish the criminals. Kodanda. Bow. Ratena. By the presence of such chariot. Trasayan. Threatening. Agan. All the culprits. Swasainya. Of your soldiers. Charana. By the feet. Shunam. Trample. Vepayan. Causing to tremble. Mandalam. The globe. Bhuva. Of the earth. Vikarshan. Leading. Pratim. Huge. Senam. Army. Riyatasi. You roam about. Amshuman. The brilliant sun. Eva. Light. Tada. Then. Eva. Certainly. Setava. Religious codes. Sarve. All. Varna. Of varnas. Ashram. Of ashrams. Nirbandha. Obligations. Bhagavat. By the Lord. Rachita. Created. Rajan. O king. Vidyer. They would be broken. Bata. Alas. Dasubi. By rogues. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, B.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. If you did not mount your victorious jeweled chariot, whose mere presence threatens culprits, if you did not produce fierce sounds by the twanging of your bow, and if you did not roam about the world like the brilliant sun, leading a huge army whose trampling feet caused the globe of the earth to tremble, then all the moral laws governing the varnas and ashrams created by the Lord Himself would be broken by the rogues and rascals. Please repeat. If you did not mount your victorious jeweled chariot, whose mere presence threatens culprits, if you did not produce fierce sounds by the twanging of your bow, and if you did not roam about the world like the brilliant sun, leading a huge army whose trampling feet caused the globe of the earth to tremble, then all the moral laws governing the varnas and ashrams created by the Lord Himself would be broken by the rogues and rascals. Purport. It's a long purport. It is the duty of a responsible king to protect the social and spiritual orders in human society. The spiritual orders are divided into 4 ashramas: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. And the social orders, according to the work and qualification, are made up of the brahmanas, the kshatriyas, the vaishyas, and shudras. These social orders, according to the different grades of work and qualification, are described in Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, for want of proper protection by responsible kings, the system of social and spiritual orders has now become a hereditary caste system. But this is not the actual system. Human society means that a society which is making progress towards spiritual realization. The most advanced human society was known as Arya. Arya refers to those who are advancing. So the question is, which society society is advancing. Advancement does not mean creating material necessities unnecessarily and thus wasting human energy in aggravation over so-called material comforts. Real advancement is advancement towards spiritual realization, and the community which acted towards this end was known as the Aryan civilization. The intelligent men, the Brahmanas, as exemplified by Kardama Muni, was engaged in advancing the spiritual cause, and Kshatriyas, like Emperor Swayambhavu, used to rule the country and ensure that all facilities for spiritualization were nicely provided. It is the duty of the king to travel all over the country and see that everything is in order. Indian civilization, on the basis of 4 varnas and ashramas, deteriorated because of her dependency on foreigners, or those who did not follow the civilization of varnashram. Thus, varnashram system has been degraded into the caste system. The institution of 4 varnas and 4 ashramas is confirmed herewith in the Bhagavad Rachita, which means designed by the Supreme Personality of God. In Bhagavad Gita, this is also confirmed, Chaturvarnyam Mayashrastam. The Lord says that the institution of the 4 varnas and 4 ashrams is created by me. Anything created by the Lord cannot be closed or covered. The division of the division of varnas and ashrams will continue to exist either in the original form or in a degraded form. But because they are created by the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they cannot be extinguished. They are like the sun, a creation of God, and therefore will remain. Either covered by the clouds or in a clear sky, the sun will continue to exist. Similarly, when the varnashram system becomes degraded, it appears as a hereditary caste system. But in every society, there is an intelligent class of man, a martial class, a mercantile class, and a laborer class. When they are regulated for cooperation among communities according to the Vedic principles, then there is peace and spiritual advancement. But when there is hatred and malpractice and mutual mistrust in the caste system, the whole system becomes degraded, and as stated herein, creates a deplorable state. At the present moment, the entire world is in this deplorable condition because of giving rights to so many interests. This is due to the degradation of the 4 castes of varnas and ashrams. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Lati Swapadartikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Rupa Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sadhujata Sahagana Raghunata Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lavita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Gurunyacha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Padikatam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let's read the verse again. If you did not mount your victorious jeweled chariot, whose mere presence threatens culprits, if you did not produce fierce sounds by the twanging of your bow, if you did not roam about the world like the brilliant sun, leading a huge army whose trampling feet cause the globe of the earth to tremble, then all the moral laws governing nirvanas and ashrams created by the Lord himself will be broken by the rogues and rascals. So, we're in the, again, 3rd canto, 21st chapter, texts 52 to 54. It's a very instructive pastime between Swayambhavu Manu and Kardama. And just a little bit of context as to where we are in this conversation. That Kardama Muni has been instructed by Lord Brahma to begin populating the earth and to begin creating progeny so that the earth can become full. So we are in the beginning of creation, in the time frame in Satyuga. And in order to do so, Kardama Muni went and performed great austerity, 10,000 years of tapasya. One who is going to perform any action does so with great precision and great thought and effort. And so he went and performed 10,000 years of tapasya. And this tapasya was so wonderful and pure that it attracted the attention of Lord Vishnu himself. And so Lord Vishnu came and gave darshan to Kardama Muni. And there Lord Vishnu told Kardama Muni that Swayambhavu Manu is going to come and see you. And he is bringing with him his great wife, the queen, and also a wonderful princess, his daughter, who was by the name of Devahuti. And Krishna, Vishnu, asked Kardama Muni that you receive Swayambhavu Manu, and he will make a proposal for you to marry his daughter, and please do so. So you can see the great blessings that Kardama Muni had. That Lord Vishnu himself had come and seen him and arranged for his marriage. We know in our Vedic customs we pray to the Supreme Lord to bring good wife, good husband. But actually this is how it happens. It is by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord. And in this case, it was personally carried out by the Supreme Lord as the matchmaker. And there's some very beautiful verses and purports in which Srila Prabhupada speaks about the way in which marriages are enjoined in our Vedic system, and actually in a very successful way. Unfortunately, in today's society, that system has been degraded, like we'll talk a little bit about Varnashram today. But in this way, in this day, this system was there, and so Kardama Muni received Swayambhavu Manu as Krishna had predicted. Actually, before that, Lord Vishnu had given him the benediction that you'll bear 9 wonderful daughters, and those daughters will then marry great sages. So he said that your daughters will marry great sages, and I also will come in my plenary portion in the womb of Devahuti as Kapila. And he will instruct Devahuti. So he foretold what was coming. And so Kardama Muni obviously was very, very qualified. You can see the great qualification of Kardama Muni as a great sage and yogi. That he not only attracted the attention of Lord Vishnu himself, not only did he arrange personally his marriage, but he also agreed to take birth in his family. So you can see the supreme qualification of Kardama Muni. So when we have such a great personality, it means there's a lot we can learn from, and a lot we can understand in their behavior. And so as we continue in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, we can draw out many, many things to learn from Kardama Muni. So in this now specific section, Swayambhava Manu has come. And Kardama Muni, though he's a Brahmana, he is offering obeisances and prayers glorifying the king. We know that the king actually draws knowledge and instruction from the Brahmanas. But here we see also the great qualification of Swayambhava Muni. And Kardama Muni was not so ego-driven that he thought, I am Brahmana, I should not offer my respects to Swayambhava. No. He offered respects based on qualification, based on purity of heart. That is the nature of a great devotee. So Kardama Muni, though Brahmana to Kshatriya, is offering wonderful prayers. And he is glorifying Swayambhava Muni. And in this specific verse, he is glorifying the activity of the king. What is the responsibility of the king? Actually, in today's world, we have no idea, because it is so corrupt and polluted. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see story after story, story after king, of kings who were rishis. So we call them Rajarshis. Because they were kings, but they were saintly kings. And as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this is how this knowledge was passed down. Imam parampara praptam, imam rajarshino vidu. Right? So these kings show us how to rule. And if only our leaders today took just a fraction of these teachings from Srimad Bhagavatam, the world would be a much better place. So the duty of the king was to rule the planet, or whatever land they had. But they ruled not under or according to their own free will or their own desires. They ruled under the guidance of the Brahmanas and under the guidance of Shastra. And they had a great responsibility. And what was their principal responsibility? To ensure the self-realization of all of the citizens. That was their number one responsibility. Not to exploit the resources of the land, not to exploit the people of the land, not to demonstrate one's great strength or power. No. It was to ensure the successful path back home, back to Godhead for all the citizens. We'll see in the 4th canto, in the pastime of Prithvi Maharaj, actually the king also has a great incentive to rule justly. Why? Because the king receives 6% of both the pious results of the pious activities of his citizens, but also 6% of the sin that is committed by its citizens. Now, anybody wants to be king today? 6. Nobody would be king today. But in those days, the kings were so apt that they could rule with such perfection that nobody was committing sinful activities. But actually, in today's world, I feel very sorry for the rulers. They have to take all that karma. So, in here, Kardama Muni is saying that Swayambhava Manu is twanging his bow and trembling the earth. So sometimes we know that it takes a little bit of fear to inspire good action, right? Krishna, in some ways, is trembling his bow right now in invoking fear in almost the whole of the world with this current pandemic we are facing. But actually, this fear, if utilized properly, is a great benediction for us. Because it should inspire us to take to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Shri Shri Radha Kunja Vihara. and render loving service to them. Because we have a proof positive today that there is no other shelter. We have a doctor amidst us. Hundreds of years of advancement in medicine. And what is it doing for us today? Sure, in the next months, we'll cure this disease. But will we cure disease? Real advancement in society, as Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport, is spiritual advancement. And so sometimes the kings would travel and tour their kingdoms, and just by twanging their bow, the rogues and rascals would run in fear because they knew that the kings were very loving and compassionate, but also very fierce and thorough in enacting their will. So, we don't have kings doing it, but in this fearful state we may be in today, we can use that as a means to inspire us to make further progress in the process of self-realization. This whole of the world was created for one purpose, as an opportunity to go back home, back to God. Srila Prabhupada writes that throughout his purports, that this is the purpose of this world. It is conditioned in such a way that we face trials and tribulations as a source of inspiration to say, this is not such a place for gentlewomen and gentlemen. Wrap up your business, pack up your bags, and go back home, back to God. And so these opportunities is a great one for us. So, but back in these days, maybe there was not coronavirus, but there was great kings like Swami Manu who would create some situations. So the kings ruled society based on varnashram. And what is varnashram? As Prabhupada says, this is the system designed by Krishna, which means the system is perfect. Now, when it is applied by humans, it has the potential to become imperfect. But the system itself is perfect because it was created by Krishna. And there was a specific purpose for this system. That in the material world, Krishna arranged so that everybody could coexist peacefully and in cooperation. And everybody would have some occupation that would correlate to one's nature. And so when one works in their nature, and one works in cooperation with others, then there is a very peaceful situation. And this situation is created as such, not so we can kick back and relax and look at the stars, but so then we'll have a peaceful mind to take to the real purpose of our existence here. And that is to understand, who am I and who is Shri Shri Radha Kunja? And what is my relationship? This self-realization. Because if we are struggling for existence and quarreling with our neighbors and not knowing where our chapatis will come tomorrow, then we'll not have a peaceful mind to think about who am I, who is Shri Shri Radha Kunja, and who is, well, what is my relationship? So Krishna has created this varnashram system to create a peaceful structure in society, so that spiritual life can prosper. Just like a farmer in the beginning of the season will cultivate the field, till the soil. We have a farmer amongst us who will cultivate and till the garden. Why? To prepare it for crops to grow. But the cultivation of the field, the putting of the fertilizer, does that create crops? No. You must still plant the seeds and the crops. So this varnashram system is like the preparation of the field. But in and of itself is not spiritual life. It is the means to create a peaceful existence so that one can take to the higher Because some will argue, just do your duty. And according to Varnashram. That is not sufficient. It is meant to bring about the process of devotional life. So this is the Varnashram structure. And it creates a sense of great cooperation. And it's compared to the body. The Brahmanas are like the head. The Kshatriyas are like the arms. The Vaishyas are the torso. And the Shudras are the legs. Now all parts of the body cooperate together to work in unison. Under the direction of the head. So the Brahmanas are the leaders of society. But if the head tries to extort the legs say, I'm not going anywhere. We have this experience right now in quarantine. And what is the state of the mind when the body cannot go to places? Frustration. So the Brahmanas, the heads, need the Shudras as well. The arms, the Kshatriyas, perform various functions for the body. Right? They put food into the body. They don't enjoy on their own. They don't exploit by fear the rest of the body. No, they serve. The torso forms the foundation of our existence. So like this, they're all interdependent. There's great cooperation. This is Varnashram. It is not one exploiting the other. But due to the impious nature of the living entity and the loss of qualified kings who could build and establish this Varnashram system, the system is not being deployed properly. The system is perfect, but it's not being established properly today. And Srila Prabhupada, when he was, wrapping up his pastimes here, he expressed to the disciples that he had accomplished 50% of his mission. But that 50% he did not finish. And what was that 50%? Teaching Varnashram. He gave us Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, Shishi Radha Kunjaya, temples all over the world, disciples who are our current day acharyas. He gave all the processes, giving the message from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he felt that his mission was 50% complete because the Varnashram Dharma he had not yet taught. Because Srila Prabhupada knew that not everybody was going to be ready and able to take to the process of self-realization immediately. But if he could teach the principles of Varnashram Dharma, society could come to the point where then the process of self-realization could be cultivated. And so sometimes in devotional life we kind of disregard even Varnashram Dharma. Oh, that is material. I have transcended, I am now in bhakti, which is true. When one comes to the point of devotional service, the dharma, the swadharmas related to Varnashram are not applicable. And one transcends to Devi Varnashram. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur speaks about this concept. It means one's duties come from Guru and Krishna. But this Varnashram system is actually very, very important because it creates this foundation for cooperation. Imagine if we had rulers like Swayambhavu Manu roaming the universe today. How nice life would be. We wouldn't have to lock our doors. There would be no need for insurance. Why? If there is a need, the king will provide. No one is foolish enough to try to steal because Swayambhavu Manu is going to twang his bow and the earth will tremble in fear. The rogues and rascals will run to the hills. This is great leadership. And a leader, as we see here, sometimes has to be fierce, but always in the midst of showing love to the citizens. And the ultimate love, the ultimate goal that the king has is to create this society that Srila Prabhupada talks about, the Aryan society, that is making advancement. You know, we have so many definitions of advancement today. Our governments, they track metrics to measure advancement. So then I can get re-elected. And what metrics they track? GDP, consumer confidence, you know, mortality rates. They track all these things. Are any of them really improving? The mortality rate is still 100%. We all die. Prabhupada was once asked that question, you know, what's different about here? There was something, I forgot the context. He said, in America you die, and in India we die. That is the mortality. But actually, society is not advancing. We see it's degrading. What is the state of the mind? Consciousness. You know, how many crimes are being committed? What is the quality of the foodstuffs we eat? What is the quality of the air we breathe? These are the measures of advancement. Yeah, we have more gadgets and toys, but they haven't advanced the person behind those toys. So the real measure of advancement is this advancing towards our Krishna consciousness. And that is what the great kings were responsible for doing. And Swayambhavu Manu and the great kings described here in Srimad Bhagavatam show us this path. And if today only we had rulers following in their footsteps, even a small degree, we would have an extraordinary existence here in this planet. And have the facilities by which we can take to the process of serving Sri Srila. Because if we do that, then our life is perfect. But if we don't, we will be full of frustration, fear, anxiety, and distress. All of our difficulties, they're not created by coronavirus. The only difficulties we have are created by our separation between us and Krishna. That is our difficulty. Nothing else creates difficulty. That is it. So what to do? Take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, who so mercifully gave us these instructions in Srimad Bhagavatam. Established these oases in the world by which we can take the spiritual life, and if we want to render some service to Srila Prabhupada, we can do something to help propagate this system of our Krishna Dharma, because it was important to him, as he understood it as being an important function in society, so that spiritual realization can take place. So this is a little bit of discussion on the conversation between Swayambhavu Manu and Kadava Muni in 3rd Canto, Chapter 21. Thank you very much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, comments, discussion?
Very nice class.
Yes, Prabhu?
This is my own personal experience I want to share. When I read Bhagavad Gita for the first time, it was in New Vrindavan. And when I read about this system, where Krishna said that I created the society like this, based on guna karma vibhag. Based on the gunas of the people, I gave them karmas. And that is why the society is like this. And it struck me, it was such a beautiful system Krishna created, then we destroyed it.
We destroyed it.
We destroyed it. Because he said, if I give you the intelligence of a Brahmana, then you are the top of the society, then you have all of this.
Yes.
You cannot exploit the society for your own benefit, what you are doing.
Yes.
If I make you a Shudra, yes, I give you freedom to more freedom than other people to do certain things that are not allowed for other class of people, but then you have to be a servant.
Yes.
You try to be a master and try to be Shudra at the same time, you will do not create the society. So at that time I realized
prescribed. But when we don't, and we try to follow our own free will, but if we just realized we are not responsible with our free will. Our free will brought us here. So why do we think, oh, I can execute my free will on my own? We are irresponsible with our free will. If we have intelligence, we take our free will and we surrender it to Srila Prabhupada. And say, you take charge of my free will because I am a fool. No clue. And just guide. If we do that, even this system will be perfect. But as soon as we think, I know brought us here. Not Devasana Mandir. Brought us to the material world. So we have at least one fact we know, we don't know. But Prabhupada knows, Guru knows, Krishna knows, Shastra knows. Just surrender to that, everything becomes easy. But as soon as we don't, everything becomes difficult.
We are also taught, like when I was studying engineering, that when they taught that division of labor, that in Charles David or some economic student or separate division, but on what basis? He doesn't care. But if Krishna is telling, I'm giving you karma according to your guna, I create a perfect system. So that whole theory is nonsense, it's incomplete.
Yeah.
Krishna is perfect. What can I say? That's all.
Capitalism, communism, socialism, they all run on the principles of Varnashram.
Yes.
Just in distorted ways. I don't want to get into economic theory,
Correct.
but if you look at maximizing economic utility, it's based on that. But that's how it runs. All these things emanate from Krishna, ultimately. But they're in a perverted form. And thus they don't work. Any other comments or questions?
So Prabhu, I think very good point. Like, so currently, most of us like Shudras. So any Shudra, when he goes to that level of managing his creeds, or unless he become a Brahmana, right? Then he's the only he can create.
Great.
Means what like he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise he won't even have those skill set to because then Shudra is acting like a Brahmana, then he creates all kinds of one of the time understanding.
Yeah.
So that's why we all if we want to uplift ourselves to
Yeah, because the position of Shudra or Brahmana is not based on hereditary, as Prabhupada is saying. It's based on qualification. That's why Prabhupada said everybody in this world are Shudras. It doesn't matter by birthright, but by qualification.
yeah.
And we are Shudras governing, acting as Kshatriyas. What will happen? It's like putting, a very fast car in the hands of a 6-year-old child. What will happen? Not good. Not good. Prabhu, would you give Vishnu a very fast sports car?
That's the free will. We all want to fast.
No, it's not good. So when you put Shudras in government, in the control of great resources, that's what they had. Disaster. Right? But Shudras can become higher than even Brahmanas. How? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. By chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can purify to the point of becoming Vaishnava, which in Shastra, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur put his life on the line to establish the supremacy of the Vaishnava. So that is the potential. Yes, we may be in a very polluted, degraded state, but by the chanting of the holy names, one can transcend all of those designations. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said every town and village. So why not every town and village we can have a devotee running and establishing society? It can happen.